Welcome to Passion Projects, the podcast that highlights people who are doing what they love in life and enjoy it to the max and are not afraid to take risks, even if that means it will improve their life and make them a happier person. We're living in some difficult times right now, and our lives have been disrupted, of course, as you all know, by this novel coronavirus. The general public has been advised to stay at home, but our brave and skilled medical professionals are on the front lines trying tirelessly to help us beat this pandemic. Nothing but love for them all. While we do our part staying at home, we thought we'd bring light to these dire times. On today's pod, our guest is one of my dearest friends and former roommate, and a woman of many talents and interests. She's the director of service design at one of Canada's largest telecommunications companies. She's been there for about 9 years and found her way up the ladder. She's also quite the avid traveler. Without further ado, here is Jade Salazaar. Thanks so much for joining us today, Jade.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, it's so great to have you on. Now tell me, how has life changed for you during this crisis?
I would say I'm coping. I think, we kind of talked a little bit earlier about it. I just feel very lucky. I just am constantly acknowledging that I still have my job. I still have my team. I still have my health. I still have my family around. In their own houses, but they're still, they're all healthy and employed, and I'm spending all my time with my dog. And I'm absolutely, I'm fine. I'm carrying along. But then when you start to think about the impacts to other people, what's going on in the world, what are the long-term effects with the economy? Some people's lives are just turned upside down. It's a lot to process. Mm-hmm. But I think, it's like one day at a time. And that's kind of what I'm doing, one day at a time.
Just like you, we all are too. Now, how have you and your team been able to continue to be effective and productive during COVID-19, because you do run an essential department at your company?
Yeah, so the design team is big. It's close to 60 people. And so if you think about, none of us were prepared to go home one weekend and then, as of that Sunday, be told, okay, never mind coming into the office, now you work from home. So it is a lot to adjust to. And, you are, as a leader, you're responsible for your people's careers, their happiness, their health and wellness, their emotions, their anxiety, kind of everything really in some capacity. So now everything is just heightened, right? So we're all going through it. It is definitely a community, but my company has been so incredible with trying to react and trying to make sure that we can learn how to sustain sort of what's going on and the way that we're working and our expectations from each other. So for us in the design team, we do make sure that we do, a couple times a week check-ins, any questions that people have, whether we have the answers or not. It's just good to kind of get a sense of what's on people's minds. The designers are used to working with collaborative tools already. So I think there is sort of less of an adjustment there. And we're also doing as much as we can to, try to keep up our spirits. And there's a weekly sort of fun activity that we do over lunchtime. We had a remote pet meetup a couple weeks ago where everybody sort of introduced their pets, and we did a, share your favorite life hack the other day. And we have so many different Slack channels, cabin fever type stuff where people are posting and sharing a bit of their lives. So that's been one of the positive things I think that's been going on, is people really are opening up to each other and giving everybody a glimpse into who they are and what's important to them and how they live.
Jade, I would say patience and perseverance have been a staple in your career path to becoming a director. Could you touch on how you've been able to develop into this role?
I mean, I've been at my company for 9 years now. So that's almost a decade, which is crazy when I think about it. And I started at Rogers as like a junior coordinator in web strategy, we were calling it at the time. And I was so green. I was just so nervous, like don't look anyone in the eyes. They might ask you a question. And I just over the years kind of just learned how to listen, learned how to kind of be brave and to take chances and to really just do whatever I needed to do to do good work. I also learned from everybody and at every single opportunity that I could, not just from my bosses. So for me, the fact that I found my way to design in general, never mind even, being a director, it was actually because of that, because I was just so interested in doing good work. Because for the first part of my career, maybe about 6 and change years at Rogers, I was running the digital product team for the residential portfolio. And so there were 8. I was leading a team of 8 at the time. Then I had this opportunity to work very closely with the design team to try to help my online presence for our product. And so I worked closely with the design team and I learned the design framework. I learned design thinking. I learned how to approach problem solving in this very, user-centric, human-centric way, without even realizing it. After learning that, I kind of just realized that this is really the only way to do business. This is the only way to approach what I was doing. And so then I just sort of adopted that mindset. So I adopted that framework. I always started with the user. I insisted that we do, co-creation workshops and that we taught others, and other people sort of started to see the impact that working in that way was going to have. And then they sort of asked, can you help me with my product and my portfolio? And so I was kind of just doing it on the side because I thought it was really interesting. And then I think it was about within a year, my CDO sort of said, this needs to be done full time, and we need it to be you. Yeah. So I moved over there, and it was, I left a team of 8, like at, my age, and thinking about what I had to work on to get there. I kind of just dropped it, and I said, I think this design kind of thing could be interesting and worthwhile. And it was a lateral move. It wasn't a promotion or anything like that. If I was really just focused on climbing a corporate ladder, I would never have done that. It was like, no, stay where you are. You're on the path and etc. But, why do that when, to me, this was so much more interesting? I think you have to think about being patient. You have to kind of think about not necessarily, well, what do you want your next move to be? It's what do you want your next 3 moves to be? And how is the next one going to help get you in the future to where you want to be? It has been a 9-year journey. And every single year has been different. And every single year there's something new and exciting and challenging that's come up. So, the company has allowed me that space to really explore and to give me permission to try new things. It's been a bit of it's like a two-way street. The company's given me a lot of opportunity, but it's been up to me, and it's up to you to really seize it and to do as much as you can with it, because you are in charge of your own, career and development, really.
Along the lines of what you said, within the design thinking space, is there something that you've become more passionate about?
I mean, I love the design world. So I'm not a designer. Like, I'm not a trained designer, but I'm leading in the design space. So to embody sort of that design thinking or, user-centric mentality, not a lot of people understand that it actually, everybody who touches a product or a service needs to have an understanding of what that is. What does it mean to really understand your users? How do you empathize? How do you define problems and opportunities? How do you start big with ideas and funnel them down into concepts? And how do you try things and test things and iterate? And how do you co-create, like coming together with all of these different people who have different objectives and different points of view? And how do you kind of come up with a collective vision that you guys believe in? You don't have to be a trained designer to do that, right? I just love kind of the space in general right now. For me, what I'm particularly passionate about is elevating design at the organization. So, we have a full team of designers, and they are trained designers, and they have a skill set that I will never have. And, they're responsible for making sure that we are delivering digital experiences that are right for the customer, right for the business, etc. What I'm particularly passionate about is trying to kind of clear the path for them to do what they do best, to try to advocate for, design as a core competency of our organization and of the way that we do business. So I'd say that's sort of what I'm focusing on.
Millennials have been dubbed the job hunting generation. They're going from position to position, all to find a better opportunity for themselves. How would you classify your longevity at your specific position, since you've been there for about 9 years now and seen the ups and the downs?
I think how they say it takes a village to raise a child. I feel like I've had this village around me for 9 years at my company that has kind of helped raise me in a way. When I started there, I was 23 or 24, very, very young, very junior, very green, like I said. And I was so fortunate just to have a group of people that truly just wrapped their arms around me in a very genuine way and supported my development, actually listened to me, took the time to teach me, to be patient with me. That's just been something incredible that I don't know that I could really recreate anywhere else. And then the company too does have, programs in place that help you with growth and development. And, we are very lucky to have that kind of support. And I think, a bit of what I said earlier too, just about being humble and, you only know what you know, and that's fine. And so, how are you going to figure out how to add other things to your toolkit that you don't have and close some of the gaps? You really can learn from anybody. You should be learning from a lot of different people. So I think, especially in my earlier years, I just kept my head down and I just did as much good work as I could. And I built such strong relationships. Building relationships is actually sort of core to a lot of people's success, I think. And in the work that we do too for design, collaboration is key. You have to bring people along and you have to be able to influence through thought rather than because somebody reports to you or because, it's part of the process. It's more about convincing them because it's the right thing to do. And building relationships does really help with some of that because you already sometimes have this baseline of trust. I was going to say, each year is different, which it is. But I think it's also about celebrating every little success, right? So if, you really, really, really want to be promoted, you want to be a manager or you want to be in a different team or whatever it's going to be, and you're not there by the end of the year where you really wanted to be there, think about what did you do? What did you actually achieve? Maybe you got to work with the team that you really want to be on. Maybe, you got to build a relationship with a leader of the team that you really want to be on. Or maybe you had a good performance review, or you delivered something that you're very proud of, or whatever it's going to be. Acknowledge each of those things, because each of these little things, the compilation of all of them, are ultimately what are going to get you to achieve that next goal and that next steps. You really do have to acknowledge sort of everything that you are already doing and you are already achieving.
Now, Jade, I know another big passion of yours is travel. You've been able to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, trek through the Grand Canyon, and learn so much about yourself. What is that mentality like when you set your mind to doing it and fulfilling that?
Your mind is incredible. Like, it can make you do amazing things. It can push you to all types of new heights. And yeah, it's for sure. It's a mindset, and you have to think that you can, you have to think you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. There's so many things that could happen, and you're alone, and do you have everything you're going to need? And well, what if you're cold? And and it's like, well, I was cold and I probably forgot a bunch of things, and yeah, I was by myself. But you have to just, you have to kind of believe that you can do it, and you have to kind of take a bit of a leap of faith each time, because sure, you never know what could happen on any given day. But yeah, you definitely have to, your mind has to want to do it.
Jade, along your travels, do you have a favorite story or a favorite moment that really stands out for you?
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, I still, over a year later, I'm still playing my 2019 Trinidad Carnival soca playlist. So, there's that one. That was just epic.
I would have never thought that you would go to Carnival, and I'm like so amazed that you did it. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Take that leap of faith and you just go for it.
Yeah, for sure. If you can afford the time and all of that stuff, and you have the means, you should just be kind of seizing those opportunities. And even in my younger days, this already about me, but I had kind of found how to make travel work for me. When I moved to New York City, I was working. When I moved to Hong Kong, I was in school. So it was like getting to explore all of these new places, but not putting my life on hold to do it necessarily.
Now, I think that's awesome. What would be your piece of advice for our listeners who would love to fulfill their passion or even keep it as their side hustle?
I mean, I think I've probably said a lot of it. I think patient, you have to be patient. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to work hard. And you're going to have to just keep going. And I think it is sort of what I said before. You might not be where you want to be today or even next quarter or in the next year, but it's those little wins, those little, moments where you can say, oh yes, I have achieved that next step to get me to that next step. So I think that's kind of what I'd say. And, I've never been an entrepreneur ever. I've always worked for companies, I think, regardless of the industry. And even it doesn't have to be even about business, right? It could be about, other goals, health and wellness and all of that kind of thing. You can apply this, I think, to all areas of your life. And that's what I've been doing, really, without kind of even knowing it or articulating it. It's just year over year, there's something that is really exciting that's going on, or something that I really want to achieve. And it's the milestones that I'm celebrating along the way. Because otherwise, if it's if you just have your eye on that, down the line thing, you're going to miss out on all of the other moments that matter. So you kind of have to find a bit of a balance. If you have the means and you have the desire, then use that extra time for sure to see what's going on out there. There are lots of opportunities now that are coming online, and even just making connections with other people, right? If you think about LinkedIn, it's an amazing platform. So, if you have extra time, some other people might have extra time. I know people are trying to reach out to others, running seminars and webinars and giving, free courses and education and access, really. So of course, if you can, then now is a good time to explore some of those things.
I was home because I miss it so much.
I mean, Toronto is one of the best cities in the world. You know this. We're just itching for the weather to turn, but all things considered, we have to sort of still make sure that we can enjoy, in this new reality. But it's great here. I mean, Toronto is such a livable city. I mean, it has anything that you could want is close by. The only thing, we don't have an ocean. at least not in Toronto, obviously. But no, it's great. And of course, for me and for you, like family is here, friends are here, work is here. So yeah, I'm really happy here. I love it. And we are just waiting to get you back.
One day.
You can bring a +1.
Thank you. I can't wait. I miss everything about Toronto. But that being said, I just really hope everyone's safe and staying home, and we will get through this all together. And I thank you so much for joining me, Jade. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was lovely.
Until next time, thank you all for joining me on Passion Projects. And remember to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify and leave a comment. Thanks again.